everybody, welcome back to another episode of Pokemon WTF Moments, the series that is so expertly edited that no one's lines ever get cut. Today's episode begins with a direct quote from the narrator.
With Ash fresh off a big victory over Pokemon Master Prima.
Excuse me? Big victory? Mate, Prima's Cloyster absolutely battered Ash's Pikachu in the last episode. The narrator is a liar. Pass it on. A girl runs up looking for her lost Nidoran, Maria. The girl describes Maria as smart and strong. A strong Nidoran. Wow, guess the narrator isn't the only liar in this episode. After checking the Pokedex for information on Nidoran, Ash says that he never realized that the male and female Nidoran were so different. That, my friend, is because you know bugger all about Pokemon, which is something I still find weird for someone who's so obsessively interested in becoming a Pokemon master. Well, this title's a big old mess. This episode is about finding lost Pokemon, and the title is Wherefore Art Thou Pokemon, which means the writers probably thought that Wherefore Art Thou means where are you, when it actually means more of a for what reason are you, or why are you? Like in Romeo and Juliet, Juliet saying wherefore art thou Romeo is basically Juliet just saying,
oh, for God's sake, Romeo, out of all the people that I could have fallen in love with, why'd it have to be you, with your name?
Wherefore art thou Romeo basically means, why did you have to be you, Romeo? Why are you you? You could be literally anyone else and we wouldn't both end up dead by the end of this story. TLDR, Pokemon, your title's wrong. Whilst Ash and friends are looking for Maria, another kid runs over to them that's also lost a Nidoran, a male one called Tony. Mate, do people in this town just not own Pokeballs or something? This is getting ridiculous. Even though the kid refers to Tony as a he over and over and over, Ash still checks the Pokedex entry for the female Nidoran before then being corrected and checking the one for the male. Ash, mate, you've got to learn to listen more. This is the second time this has happened today. Use your noodle. Maria's trainer runs over and starts arguing with Tony's trainer. They're both accusing each other of stealing each other's Nidoran. We then get this direct quote from Tony's trainer.
Anyone who knows anything about Pokemon could see that I have the best Nidoran.
I mean, anybody that knows anything about Pokemon knows that having the best Nidoran isn't really much to brag about. So sit down, lad. You're embarrassing yourself. Both kids grab sticks and start having a full-on duel with them. And I think the saddest part of this is the minute I saw this, I was like, all right, calm down there, Obi-Wan and Vader. As if sword fighting hadn't been a thing for like thousands of years before Star Wars. Wow. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become your own WTF moment. Tracey's Marill walks over and Tracey asks it if it's found something. The two trainers dash off assuming that Marill has found their Nidoran and they trample across Tracey as they do. Firstly, that's just rude, but since it's Tracey getting hurt, I'll let it slide. Secondly, you ran off without Marill. That means you don't know where the thing that Marill found is. You only know the general direction. And finally, we don't even know what Marill found yet. For all we know, when Tracey asked Marill what it found, Marill could have just been like,
well, I didn't find any Nidoran, but there's two people fucking in that bush over there.
When the two trainers find Tony and Maria, they're nuzzling together in the bushes. So actually, what I said Marill could have been saying wasn't far off. So the two Nidoran obviously like each other, and while seeing Tony give Maria a flower is adorable, let's not forget the sobering truth. If these two want to have babies, they need to do it ASAP, because if Maria hits level 16, she'll evolve into a Nidorina and lose her ability to breed.
Well, actually, Liam, I think you'll find that's just a programming error in the game, so it probably doesn't apply to the anime.
I hate to break it to you, but in the Pocket Monsters Encyclopedia from 1996, long before a breeding mechanic was added to the game, says that upon evolving into Nidorina, it loses the ability to lay eggs. So canonically, Tony needs to hurry the fuck up. Which reminds me, you need to hurry up and hit the like button, share the video on social media, and leave a lovely comment down below. If you can't think of a comment, just leave something generic, like
female Nidoran loses the ability to breed once it evolves, but male Nidoran can evolve all the way up to Nidoking and still breed? Damn the patriarchy!
Or just put the name of the secret Pokemon that I've hidden somewhere in the video. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button to join the sinking ship that I have to make really clear isn't a sinking ship, because if I don't make it really clear that it isn't a sinking ship, then people will think it is a sinking ship and then worry about me and my mental health and things like that. And I love that you guys worry about my mental health and that stuff, but please be assured it's not really a sinking ship. It's just jokes, lads. It's just memeing. It's not really sinking. It's doing really well, but we'd still love to have you on board. Hit subscribe, turn on all notifications. And thanks to the lovely people that give a damn about my mental health and don't just see me as an object within the screen. It's cool. Misty says it's obvious that these two are in love, and to that I say, cool your jets, Misty. For all we know, this could be a relatively new thing and could still very much be in the honeymoon phase. You know, that early part of a relationship where everything seems so new and fresh and interesting and you just always want to be around each other. Having said that, me and Sophie are coming up on 3 years soon and the honeymoon phase doesn't seem to have ended, so I guess that's a good sign. And yes, part of me only mentioned that to annoy the people who comment things like,
Stop bringing up your girlfriend, I'm only here for Pokemon.
yeah? And how's that working out for you? Direct quote from Tracey. Sure looks like love to me. And what would you know, mate? Your idea of love is drawing pictures of strangers that don't even know you're watching them. Let's face it, if Tracey was capable of growing facial hair, he'd absolutely be a neckbeard. Oh look, they're in love, but their trainers hate each other. It's just like Romeo and Juliet. And they're called Tony and Maria, like in West Side Story. Man, the Pokemon writing team really woke up today like,
How many love story references should we shoehorn into this episode?
All of them.
who in the Tesco meal dealing fuck designed the sign for this sandwich shop? You couldn't have made it look any less appealing if you'd tried. That sandwich looks more like a slice of cake with arse cream filling. The chef from the sandwich shop explains that the two kids, called Ralph and Emily, have known each other since they were little, and do you know what the problem they have with each other is? They both always seem to catch the same kind of Pokemon. Yep. Two kids from a small town that probably only has a handful of wild Pokemon in the area to choose from keep ending up with the same ones. God, I hate kids sometimes. Oh, who am I kidding? I hate them all the time. Apparently, they always compete in Pokemon contests. Gen 1 Pokemon contests confirmed. Makes you wonder why it took them 3 generations to actually implement these. The chef explains that these contests used to always end in a face-off between Ralph and Emily, and this year they tied for first place. Doesn't that mean that the years before this year did end with a definitive winner though? So don't they already know who the best trainer is from previous years? And them being mad about this year ending in a tie is really a mistake on the judges' part. They should have just picked a solo winner like every other year. The gang spot Tony running through town and follow him to Emily and Maria's house, where he shouts up to Maria, who's on an upstairs balcony. Misty says she knows they're sweet talking because she's a romantic. No, you're not. You're a 10-year-old. Don't be giving creeps any ideas. You know full well there's some drooling loser out there like,
Yes, Misty, you're so romantic. You're my waifu forever.
oh Christ, did anyone else just throw up in their mouth a little? Direct quote from Maria. This ought to cool you off, Romeo. Oh my God, we get it. It's just like Romeo and Juliet. Mate, you've bashed me over the head so many times with this point, I think I might actually have a concussion. Ralph comes to collect Tony and takes him back home, and it turns out his home is next door to Emily's house. But wait, if they live next door, why did Ash and friends see Tony running around town? Unless... does Tony have multiple girls on the go? Well, in an unexpected turn of events, Tony is a slut. Pass it on. Misty says she's gonna do something about this and tells Ash that love is the most important thing in the world. And Ash replies,
Not more important than catching Pokemon.
oh Ash, never change, mate. In the next scene, we see Misty writing something as well as humming the background music. Careful, Misty, you'll break the fourth wall if you keep this up. Misty explains to Ash that she's writing Ralph and Emily identical letters in the hopes of getting those two together. I cannot believe that after all the times I've ragged on Pokeshippers for being so invested in whether or not two 10-year-olds get together, Misty herself has actually managed to do something far worse. She's literally shipping two, 7-year-olds? And actively trying to hook them up. Misty is a massive creep. Confirmed. Direct quote from Misty.
They're not mature enough to admit it, but they really like each other.
Come on, mate. It's not that they're not mature enough to admit it, it's that they're not mature, and therefore they don't even need to be thinking about relationships right now. Can't someone just educate them in the art of being civil for the sake of their Nidoran's happiness? That's all that needs to happen. Like, I'm pretty sure in Romeo and Juliet, nobody thought,
Hark, this could all be resolved if our parents would merely bone down.
Then again, we all know how Romeo and Juliet ended, so maybe it's worth exploring a couple of options. So for no reason at all, Tracey says that this is just like with Misty and Ash, and they understandably get annoyed at him. Now, if you ask your average Pokeshipper, they'll tell you this is because Ash and Misty are embarrassed that Tracey figured their feelings out, but they're forgetting something. When somebody tells you that they reckon you're interested in somebody that you're just not, it's actually really annoying and quite uncomfortable for everybody involved. I'm pretty sure a bunch of you can relate to having a friend of a different gender and your parents being like,
Oh, look at you two. You're so cute together. You'd make such a great couple.
And you're just like, oh, can we not just be friends without people trying to ship us, please? I reckon that's the same thing that's happening here. Jessie's obsessed with stealing the two Nidoran because in her words, then they'll have a perfect pair of Pokemon. Mate, they're just Nidoran. Unless you've got a couple of Moonstones knocking around, they're never going to reach their full potential, so they're far from perfect. If you want a perfect pair of Pokemon, I'd recommend training up your Arbok and Weezing. They'd make a great team if they weren't weak as piss. When we see images of all the guys who have left Jessie heartbroken, we see a dark-haired man with a trench coat. Jessie x Looker confirmed. Wait, are there any Jessie and Looker shippers out there? What would that ship name even be? Lessie? Jucker? International Palessi? I mean, we all know your favorite ship. It's the Ace Trainer Liam YouTube channel X G Fuel. Notice I said the channel X G Fuel, because if I'd have said me and G Fuel, you guys would have all been like,
Well, actually, Liam, what about Sophie?
yeah, I've got you lot figured out. Hold on. Now look, while this guy is devilishly handsome, he has got one little thing wrong. Because right now, G Fuel is 30% off if you use code ACE. So change that graphic, please. Thank you very much. 30% off until the end of Monday. It's in Eastern time, so you've got till midnight Eastern time as Monday turns into Tuesday, as the 11th turns into the 12th. You get what I mean? Get yourself 30% off G Fuel using code ACE. Today I'm drinking the wonderful strawberry slushy. Make sure you don't sleep on this flavor. It's absolutely amazing. Get yourself a whole bunch of different flavors. Get yourself a starter pack if you're new to G Fuel. Comes with one of these and a whole bunch of individual portions of G Fuel in various different flavors for you to try a whole heap of different things. Oh, that is absolutely bloody lovely. Make sure you use code ACE this weekend to get yourself 30% off rather than the usual 10%. It goes back down to 10% on Tuesday morning. And thank you as always to the people that use code ACE because it helps you guys out, but also it helps out this channel so incredibly much. G Fuel is so good to us and it's all thanks to you guys. Remember though, G Fuel is for over 18s only because it contains caffeine and children should not be anywhere near caffeine. And of course, because it contains caffeine, just drink it responsibly. Don't be a dickhead. Direct quote from Jessie.
I can't find anyone to love me just because I'm mean and nasty and evil.
Don't worry, mate. I'm the same, and I found someone, so there's hope for you yet. James and Meowth start flying away before Jessie's kick makes contact. James and Meowth are professional wrestlers. Confirmed. For real though, if Meowth turned up at your window like this, why the hell would you approach him? If it were me, this would be the one time you see me throw a brick through my own window from the inside. Meowth goes back to Jessie and James and explains that Tony and Maria both refused his offer to help them be together because they can't just leave their masters. That sounds pretty noble, but it does make you wonder. If their love isn't strong enough to convince them to leave their trainers, are they really that invested in each other? Oh wait, we know they're not. Tony's been fucking about all over town. We know that boy's got options. Maybe it's just not meant to be. Ash and friends watch on as Ralph and Emily meet up to discuss the letters that Misty sent, as well as the gift that she included in them. Now, Emily is understandably upset about receiving flowers, since she's allergic. But Ralph is annoyed at being given a remote-controlled toy aeroplane because Emily should know he throws up on airplanes. Mate, chill out. It's only a remote-controlled toy. You don't actually have to ride in it. How do you get given a remote-controlled toy aeroplane for free, given how expensive they are anyway, especially in the 90s, and you don't at least think, oh cool, I'll try that out in a bit? And more importantly, he throws it at Emily, and we hear a very clear impact sound, which means he absolutely hit Emily with it. That's assault. Somebody needs to give this boy a thick ear. As Ralph and Emily begin another stick duel, we see Tony and Maria in little pet cages. Do Pokeballs seriously not exist in this town at all? How behind the times is this place? Jessie and James turn up dressed as a bride and groom and steal the two Nidoran in plain sight. And then they begin to rise up out of the ground from a giant metal wedding cake, and if that isn't a WTF moment, I don't know what is. How would they have even rigged this? It sounds mechanical, so it must be coming from a giant hole in the ground. And that surely would have taken weeks of planning and building. So do we think Team Rocket built this ages ago on the off chance that they'd end up back in this town and need to use a giant wedding cake for dramatic effect? Answers on a postcard. Have you ever watched any of those unsatisfying video compilations where it shows a line of dominoes being knocked over and the last one stays standing? Well, that feeling of disappointment hit me really hard when Team Rocket's balloon flew off with these cans on strings dangling behind, and they just made the faintest sound ever. When you see these things behind a wedding car, you expect them to be pretty noisy. But with these, it's almost like nothing happens, and it just feels really off. Misty yells at Ralph and Emily, saying if they hadn't been fighting, this never would have happened, and that they only have themselves to blame. That's not entirely true though. They could still blame each other. Ash then notices a trail of cans being left behind by Team Rocket's balloon and says that'll lead them right to them. Well, not if they run out of cans. Ash and friends catch up to Team Rocket because they've stopped to dress up the two Nidoran before they present them to the boss. And my question is, could they not have just done that in the balloon? Don't answer that, because I know the answer's yes. Jessie sends out Arbok, and Ralph and Emily get Tony and Maria to use Tackle on Arbok at the same time. 2-on-1? That's not very protagonistic. James then sends out Victory Bell, who chomps on Jessie's head for a change. I guess it just fancied a change of flavour? Arbok and Victory Bell take an absolute battering from the two Nidoran. And at this point, I'm wondering why Jessie and James haven't sent out Wheezing and Lickitung yet.
Well, actually, Liam, you were just complaining that it was 2-on-1, so why are you now complaining that it isn't 4-on-2?
Because Jessie and James are the bad guys, so why are they fighting fair? Ralph and Emily both call for Fury Swipe's attack at the same time. They then blush at each other to show that they're falling for each other. Jesus Christ, is that all it takes with these two? Grow up.
Well, actually, Liam, when talking about Pokeshipping before, you've said that two characters blushing at each other doesn't necessarily mean they automatically want to be together.
And I stand by that. But in the next shot, these two are holding hands and practically dancing with each other. So it's safe to say I'm pretty sure we know how this episode is ending. As Team Rocket try and escape, Meowth activates what he calls the Pokemon Picker-Upper, which is basically a giant vacuum. And I do have to ask, if they had this all along, why not just use it earlier? Like, you had this all the time and you just sat back and watched while Arbok and Victory Bell got battered? Team Rocket, use your noodles. Pikachu allows the vacuum to draw him up towards the balloon, but grabs onto a tree branch to block the entrance to the vacuum so he doesn't get sucked in, and then uses Thunderbolt, but the balloon doesn't get completely destroyed like it usually does. Is Pikachu ill or something? Or is it just low on power? It's honestly never explained. Misty sends out Staryu to pop the balloon, and mate, when did Misty's Staryu grow so big? Look at the size of it compared to the balloon's paw. Staryu got gains, bruv. Pass it on. Ralph and Emily realize that their Nidoran want to be together, and when they say they're worried about being away from them, Tracey suggests building a little house for them between their houses so they can still see them every day. Ralph and Emily then speak at the same time, so it's kind of hard to hear clearly, but I think Ralph says
With Emily?
and Emily says
With Ralph?
as though they're unsure about working together. But their faces in this scene suggest they're really excited by the idea. But right after, they're both just like, I guess we'll try, and now I'm just confused. Are they keen on the idea or are they not keen on the idea? Make up your minds. The two Nidoran nuzzle once again and both evolve into Nidorino and Nidorina, but the bows that they're wearing grow with them. Not just as if they were elasticated, but they grow in mass and everything. Mate, that's not how fabric works. If anything, the two Pokemon should have immediately started asphyxiating. But I guess that doesn't really work with the child-friendly rating of the show. Wait, why does the Nidorina in the Pokedex have the same bow as Maria? I thought the Pokedex showed a generic image of a Pokemon from that species, doesn't it? I can't remember anyone ever saying that the Pokedex photographs the exact Pokemon that you're viewing, and if it does, then why is the image of Maria flipped to be facing the other way? As always, Dexter is garbage. Confirmed. Speaking of which, direct quote from Dexter. Nidorino, the poison pin Pokemon, the evolved form of the male Nidoran. Its highly developed horn is extremely powerful. Ha, highly developed horn. That was my nickname in college. Okay, it wasn't. It was actually,
Who the fuck is this guy?
Tracey wonders how the two Pokemon evolved, from the battle or the kiss. Well, I'm no expert, mate, but they did just win a battle, so my guess is that they both just hit level 16 and that's the level they need to hit in order to evolve. Kissing isn't a recognized evolution method. Try not to overthink it, lad. Says the guy whose whole career is overthinking and over-exaggerating things about the anime for comedic effect. Is it comedic effect if nobody laughs? Ash asks Misty if she thinks people change when they kiss, and Misty says she guesses they'll just have to find out for themselves. You know what? I think I've still got it in me to drop one more logic bomb on the Pokeshippers out there, because they'll try and tell you this is Misty hinting that she wants to kiss Ash. Mate, all she said was she guesses they'll have to find out for themselves. She never said with each other. It's most likely she was just saying they'll have to find out for themselves in the future when they find their own love interests.
Boom! Logic bomb!
At the end of the episode, the narrator says all's well that ends well, and Jessie asks if that's what he said. Jessie has a heightened sense of awareness and can now perceive the Watcher. Jessie is now a threat to the multiverse. Pass it on. Also, how the hell did they get into these bells in the first place? If they got blasted off into the sky and therefore fell downwards, how did they end up inside the bells when they would have had to have entered from the bottom? Ha! Entered from the bottom. So those are my WTF moments of Pokemon Season 2, Episode 20, Wherefore Art Thou Pokemon. Let me know your favourites and any that I missed down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to help the channel. Head to twitch.tv/AceTrainLiam for all of my live streams and use code ACE for money off G Fuel. But until next time, I'm AceTrainer Liam. Keep on training.